In a roundabout sort of way, you may be purchasing your next used Gibson guitar through Fender. We're going to tell you all about Fender buying Reverb and what it means for the industry. Stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you are new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. And if you want to support the channel, you can visit our Spring Store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts at. So if you haven't heard, it's recent news and announcement that Fender's parent company, Servco, and a partner, Creative Partners, is entering into an agreement to buy Reverb from Etsy. And that may have huge ramifications in the industry. And there's a lot of people here at the outset wondering, as this deal moves to closure, what it means for the musical industry at large. So let's break down what's actually happening. Fender itself is not purchasing Reverb, but Fender's investment parties are. So Fender is invested, its primary investor is Servco. We can go into a deep dive of how a once used car lot out of Hawaii is the majority stakeholder in Fender, but maybe that's for another video. The other interested party is Creative Partners, which is run by the CEO of SoundCloud and a former CEO of SoundCloud. And what they've done is they've entered into an agreement to purchase Reverb from Etsy. Now, if you don't know the history of Reverb, it was initially kind of in partnership with Chicago Music Exchange, in that they were two entities owned by the same person, and then it was sold to Etsy. And over the years that $295 million purchase has taken place, a lot of people have felt that it has changed, probably not for the better. Now, I don't know that it has been as rampant of a change as what actually happened on Etsy. I've never sold much on Etsy, but I've heard from a lot of people that did, that due to rising prices and really a departure of what it was originally intended for, many people that create and craft and so forth have abandoned Etsy for other platforms because they just couldn't make much, and there was a deluge of stuff ordered from China and sold as handcrafted, even though it wasn't. So during Etsy's time owning Reverb, we did see things like an increase in the amount of listing costs and fees that were associated with it. We, as a musical instrument store and dealer for a lot of companies, do sell on Reverb. Some of you may have purchased something from us over the years. We sell new and used items, as we are allowed, on Reverb. And it's been a great third-party channel for us. And I know for a lot of independent stores, it's become the only way that they actually transact business online. Now, I have opinions about people doing that. I mean, there's a lot of fees that are associated with it versus, someone buying from your own website. And if I can make a plea to you, if you are shopping from us, we would much prefer that you buy it from our website than buy it from us through Amazon or Reverb or something like that, because these third-party companies, they are very expensive to sell through. They assess a lot of fees based upon a percentage, and it can be very painful at times doing transactions through them. There's a lot of other rules, and I actually am appreciative of them for this point, and I think this is why a lot of smaller independent mom-and-pop shops utilize Reverb exclusively. In the vastness of the internet, it is really hard to gain traction. It is really hard to get your things out there. If someone searches for a particular product, they are most likely going to see Google shopping results from Guitar Center and Sweetwater, because they are the behemoths that can spend the money to get their products in front of your eyeballs. And so Reverb can act as a great leveling field where people who want to buy new and used items can find deals on Reverb. But the sword cuts both ways. It also has the danger of bringing down the value of instruments, people chasing the lowest common denominator on price, regardless of condition, in order for stuff. And as Philip Knight showed in a recent video, there are buyers who can abuse the privileges on Reverb Although Reverb's been pretty good to, for the most part, try to protect us sellers while trying to protect buyers, and in both cases, get rid of bad parties. So that's Reverb in a nutshell. And I guess Reverb's been around for 13 years, and I want to say it's been 6 years, roughly, that they've been under Etsy. So now Servco Creative Partners is buying them. Both of these companies invest in Fender, Servco being the primary shareholder of Fender. So what does this mean, Fender being so closely associated with Reverb? Well, they are already very closely associated with Reverb. Their certified pre-owned program is exclusive to Reverb, with some question marks if dealers like ourselves will ever be able to participate in that, along with question marks that the general buying public has of how much of a value is this, are these actually pre-owned, where were they sourced from, what makes them certified, and so on. But now this partnership gets a little closer together based upon the ownership that's there. Now there have been, with the announcements, assurances that Fender will not be unfairly benefiting from this alignment with Reverb through the ownership that's taking place. What that might look like, I'm not sure. They're effectively saying that they're not going to try to use the fact that Servco and Creative Partners owns them to give Fender products, new or otherwise, a leg up over the competition, or I assume try to control pricing in the used or new market through that, or I assume not try to edge out all of their other dealers and further strengthen their online game relative to Fender.com and now Reverb. Now, none of that was specified. It was really a general, like, you can trust us, like any major corporation, right? We're not going to abuse this privilege. But here's the thing. Reverb has already had really close partnerships with a lot of manufacturers. There's a lot of pedal manufacturers that directly sell through Reverb and then will do direct sell discount pricing. And for those pedal manufacturers that do that, that then hurts any of their dealers that carry that product and then have to sell and possibly sell at a loss if they want to participate in the sell. And if they don't, then they're not going to move that product. So, it's this thing where we are dealing with e-commerce, and I think as a culture, we want to preserve music stores as a resource in our communities that's very quickly disappearing, but we also want to have convenience. Marketing will tell you that people buy for two reasons, for the most part. It is for an emotional tie or convenience. Amazon is not successful because it gives you the very best customer service. It is not successful because they make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. They are successful because it's convenient to click, add to cart, and have it the next day or within 2 days. That's really what it's about. And that type of business model has leveraged the size of large corporations, just like Walmart did before them, to push out local, smaller companies and create what increasingly in our country looks like just communities of stores that are built by giant Fortune 500 companies. I felt like there was a pushback on that at one point during the pandemic, and a lot of independent companies were benefiting. And again, I think Reverb, to a great extent, has helped a lot of independent companies. What's going to happen from this purchase remains to be seen. But I can tell you why I think they're moving forward with this. There's a lot of headwinds economically on the horizon. And for instrument manufacturers, they have to contend with the same thing we do as a dealer, which is changing markets, changing buying habits from in-store to e-commerce, how marketing is done, how stories are told, and the strength of new versus the secondary used market. And as people move away and they deal with problems with a money crunch, maybe they're not going to purchase a new item. Maybe they're going to purchase a used item instead. And a company like Servco and Creative Partners that is banking on Fender can also benefit from that secondary market by, if not just selling directly through the certified pre-owned program, which they're doing, but also by having a stake in the means by which people transact business. Now, they're talking about some interesting stuff. One of the things in the press release was a discussion of being able to really optimize local selling without having to ship or even create a listing on Reverb. I'm not quite sure they're going to do reverb swap meets. I don't know. And, what that might mean. Could dealers participate? Is that an individual thing? There are so many questions. But at the end of the day, that's the reason that they're doing this. It's the same reason that credit card manufacturers benefit regardless of what's often happening, because whether you buy something from me at full price or on sale, they're getting a percentage of it, right? So whoever owns Reverb, as us musicians are still going to buy gear. And whether we are buying from this company or new or used, if we're transacting the business there, whoever's behind there gets a cut of it. What I do hope, as a dealer and as an individual that transacts business on Reverb, I do hope that there is some assessment of the fees and where they've gone, and make sure that they continue to be competitive and affordable for us. And also trying to address that chase to the bottom. Personally, I think there are a few things to keep in mind: who the seller is, the condition of the item, the rarity of the item. All of those things should go into what's happening versus just this one's cheaper than this one. So maybe there can be some things that they build in order to help. We are one of the bigger dealers. We've got like badges or whatever, quick ship or quick comment, or we respond quickly, all of this stuff on Reverb. And we've done very, very well there. But again, I'd prefer if you just buy on our website. So let's see what happens. I'd like to hear from you on what you think about this acquisition from Fender's parent companies, as it were. And I will tell you this too. I predict that we're going to see a lot of additional consolidation in our industry. It's happened in the past in the music instrument industry. There's already been some of that with larger companies buying smaller companies and kind of bringing them under the umbrella. And I think we're going to see more of this, where it's not a musical instrument company, but it's a means of transacting business. It's a processing. It's something like that. Maybe it's a finance company that's going on in the background that these larger companies will take advantage of. I think I see that on the horizon. But let us know in the comments what you think about this acquisition with Reverb and Reverb in general. Do you use it? Do you feel it protects you relative to something like Facebook Marketplace? What do you think about the fees? And do you specifically try to find independent sellers or independent dealers, or do you just kind of buy whatever the cheapest thing is on Reverb? Let us know. If you're new to our channel, we really appreciate your support. To support us best, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, share them with your friends, and we will see you next time.